There seems to be lots of division in the church right now. Very polarizing issues. Issues where people are taking extreme stances on. It's causing so much division within the church. Catholics fighting with other Catholics. And so what are we to make of all of this division? And how do we deal with it? Welcome to All That Catholic Stuff. I'm Bray. Whether it's wearing masks or vaccines or the traditional Latin Mass or residential schools or any other scandal that has come into light over the last recent months, it seems like there is so much controversy. There's so much division happening from inside the Catholic Church right now. So what do we make of all of this and how do we address this division? I have a few important considerations for us here. The first is that Jesus desires unity in the church. He desires for us to be one. He says this in John chapter 17, verse 21. He says, I pray that they will be one, just as you and I are one. As you are in me, Father, and I am in you. And may they be in us so that the world will believe you sent me. In fact, this is how the world will know that what we believe is actually true. It's by our unity and it's by our love that the world will come to know the truth and the fullness of the gospel through our unity. But if we're a bunch of divided bigots, then how on earth are we ever going to be able to show this world that what we believe is true and real and transformative? The time for wishy-washy faith is over. The world wants clarity. The world is longing for truth. And if we can't demonstrate that in unity, then why on earth would anyone want to become a Catholic? Why on earth would anyone want to follow? The second consideration is that truth by its nature divides. What do I mean by that? Well, there's a really simple example from Scripture where Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And if that's true, if Jesus is truly the only way to be saved, then that statement by its very nature divides. Either you are saved only by Jesus or you are not. It can't be both. There is no alternative. That kind of division is going to occur, and that's okay, but that is categorically different from what we see happening in the church today. Mark chapter 3, verse 24, Jesus says, a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. Perhaps the reason why it looks as though that the foundations of our church are so shaky is because Catholics are so divided on all these little squabbles. Consideration number 3 is it's okay to disagree where there is room for disagreement. Sometimes we go beyond what the church has said. And sometimes we become dogmatic on the things where there's actually room for disagreement. One example that comes to mind is the way in which we can receive communion. Some people prefer to receive it in the hand and others prefer to receive it kneeling or on the tongue, and that's okay. Personally, I think receiving communion on the tongue is very fitting and beautiful and reverent. But here's the thing. The church has permitted various forms and ways for us to be able to receive the Holy Eucharist. And so it's okay for us to talk about and to discuss how one way might be able to demonstrate our outward reverence in different ways, or for us to be able to talk about maybe perhaps some of the downsides of a particular form. But if we are allowing this to divide us as Catholics on something that the church has permitted, then we're going beyond what the church has said. And we're becoming dogmatic on something that has room for disagreement. Or perhaps it's something like the expression of the Mass. Right? I love and I think that the Eastern rites and form of the Mass is beautiful and timeless. And I am personally really drawn to be able to celebrate Mass in that particular way because it's completely countercultural to anything that we see in our culture today. However, the church has also permitted a more common or ordinary form of the Mass. And that's okay. There's room here to exercise choice, and there's valid viewpoints on both sides of this issue. See, we are a global church, 1.5 billion members worldwide, with various cultures and various rites and various different expressions. And there's room for various practices and applications of certain disciplines. What there is not room for is to compromise on the doctrines and dogma that it was handed to us by Jesus himself through the apostles. If we are so bent on pursuing division, perhaps what we should do is pursue dividing ourselves from sin and judgment and malice, rather than going beyond what the church has stated and permitted. I pray that they will all be one, just as you and I are one. As you are in me, Father, and I am in you. And may they be in us so that the world will believe that you sent me. Let's show the world that what we believe is true by our unity and by our love for one another. If you enjoyed this video, I'd be so thankful if you'd give me a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and would you share it with somebody else you think might benefit from it? And I'd be so grateful if you would consider supporting my ministry at patreon.com/Chris Bray. God bless you.